Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of City of Champions with the city of Minneapolis, right? Yeah. So we just finished our 10th season, right? Yeah, our 10th season, and we picked up our 7th title. And this was, and you can see here, I'm on the Minnesota Twins, and we're going to start here with the Twins. They won their 3rd World Series. So they've got 3 titles. The Timberwolves have 3 titles, and the Vikings have a Super Bowl. So the Wild are still looking for their first Stanley Cup. But this was one of the easiest seasons of out-of-the-park baseball I have ever played. You can see we won the division by 42 games, and we went 11-2 in the postseason. We were an absolute, truck, train, some other big vehicle. This past season, we were just amazing, and we'll get into everything here in a minute. But look at the playoffs. Playoff tree, swept the Blue Jays in 4, took out the Orioles in 6, and then swept the Cubs. So 11-2 in the postseason. Let's just jump right in. So the first big move I made this past offseason was Cody Bellinger was a free agent. So we signed Bellinger to a 1-year contract worth, the hell was it worth? 1-year contract worth, where is he? Oh, no, that's right. We traded for him. Right. Stupid me. We traded for him for a bunch of middling prospects. They just wanted to move the contract, I guess. So we gave up Danny Urigas. He was probably the biggest prospect in the bunch. I don't know. I just don't see it. He's a third baseman who can't play third base. So we traded him and a bunch of kind of secondary filler, I guess, for lack of a better term. Tony Arredondo, 25-year-old, Abel Cornaby, a 22-year-old first baseman, and Kevin Hauer, a 2.5-star right fielder. So those 4 players for Cody Bellinger. And he was pretty good for us. You can see he plays for the Cardinals. I'll get to that in a second. He was pretty good for us. Hit 260, 409, 517, 926 OPS, 146 OPS plus. Put up 3.1 WAR. We actually made him a first baseman, and he was fine. But he got hurt. And once he got hurt, the Cardinals had a pitcher on the trade block by the name of C.J. Zwolin. And C.J., making $20 million this year, $20 million next year. They had him on the trade block. They wanted Bellinger badly enough that they were willing to retain the entirety of C.J. Zwolin's contract. So we traded C.J. Zwolin for C.J. Zwolin without spending a penny for him. And we traded the Cardinals' Cody Bellinger, so we'll see if they re-sign him. Zwolin wasn't particularly good for us this year. You can see 14 starts, a 6.19 ERA, but he got much better down the stretch. His first few starts with us were just absolutely atrocious. Put up 1.2 WAR, though, in 14 games. He's got some good ratings. I think he'll slide in nicely. Considering we're not paying him anything, I don't care. So that was our first major transaction of the offseason. We also traded for Francisco Alvarez to sort of improve the catching, and he just had a great season, especially offensively. Look at that, 130 OPS plus, 4.7 WAR. For him, we traded Andres Moya, and this one could come back to bite me in the ass. Moya's development spiked as soon as we traded him. You can see he hit 32 home runs, knocked in 78, put up 2.5 WAR. Still didn't hit for a super high average, but 360 on base, 499 slugging for the New York Mets. And Alvarez's contract is up after this year, and he wants a huge contract. So I mean, we can afford it, but I don't know that I want to pay a 30-year-old catcher, an 8-year contract worth $20 million. So we'll see how that goes. So those were our 2 big free agent acquisitions, Francisco Alvarez and Cody Bellinger, and then we turned around and traded Bellinger for Zwolin. So those were the big free agent acquisitions. We'll just start with the pitching. And Corbin Burnes was hurt this year. So he only made 29 starts, but in those 29 starts, he was 15-3 with a 2.51 ERA. Led the American League in WAR despite only making 29 starts. God, I hope he opts in. I want to pay him $30 million. He's got a player option for this upcoming season, so we will see what he does. But I hope he's gone 33-10 with us in 2 seasons. Chase Petty put up another great season for us. Just been super, super consistent. So we did sign him to a contract extension, a 5-year deal worth $82 million. 2 years at 17, then an opt-out, then 3 years at 16. Might be a bit of an overpay, but homegrown talent and all that. I would like to keep him on. Another 4-win season for him. That's 5 straight seasons between 3 and 4 WAR for the now 29-year-old Chase Petty. Max Cyprian, his first full season was fantastic. 219 strikeouts and 193 innings. Led the American League in wins as a 24-year-old. Looking forward to what he does going forward. Dalton Ponce, we picked him up last year, and as a number 5 starter, I don't think you can ask for anything more than that. Almost 3 WAR, 128 ERA plus. He was phenomenal. We talked about Zwolin. Tanner Bauman, we picked up off waivers at the beginning of the season, and all he did was put up 2 WAR as a reliever. Struck out 90 in 66 innings. Manny Hurtado was he got bumped from the rotation once we traded for Zwolin. And he moved into a reliever role, and he was really good. He's a captain. He's not getting paid a lot. I'd like to keep him on board. You can see the rest of the bullpen was good. We really only had one pitcher who was a negative value. That was Riley Stanford. He only pitched 40 innings. But McGowan, Silvas, Brewster, Campbell, Hurtado, Bauman, they were all really, really good. Jordy Parks even put up almost a WAR this year on the mound as he had to start some games due to some injuries. So, yeah, pitching staff was phenomenal. And if Burns comes back, we'll just run it back with Burns, Petty, Cyprian, Zwolin, and Ponce will be our starting rotation next year. Offensively, what else can you say about Ronald Acuna? Are you kidding me? 10.6 WAR for the now 34-year-old Acuna. In his time with Minnesota, which has been 4 seasons. He's hit 185 home runs in 4 years with Minnesota, putting up 34 WAR in 4 years. 193 OPS plus, 1.119 OPS. Just an absolute beast out in right field for us. Marcelo Meyer had a fantastic first full season for us. Got hurt down the stretch, of course, because that's what Out of the Park does. But put up 6.5 WAR, played really, really good defense. We are set on the left side of the infield with Meyer and Watson. I talked about Alvarez. Jordy Parks, his best offensive season by far. 22 home runs, put up over 100 RBIs, 4.5 WAR, was terrific. Watson with another great season. Shohei Ohtani continues to mash the baseball. We now have him at first base. His contract, we have a team option. I'll probably accept that. I'll take a look and see what's available in free agency, but 3.3 WAR for $7.5 million is well worth it. Cole Bourbon's second season, not quite as good as his first, but I'll take 3.3 WAR, 30 home runs, 113 RBIs, and 41 doubles. Alex Moreno, we plugged into the starting lineup once we traded Bellinger, and he delivered. 256 batting average, but 361 OPS, 461 slugging, 119 OPS plus, 3 WAR. Plays a very good right field. Putting him in right field allowed us to put Bourbon at DH and get his glove out of the field. Brady House had another really nice season as a backup corner infielder. 1.2 WAR this year, 1.1 last year, over 100 OPS plus. I'll take it. Antonio Gomez was our backup catcher this year. Wasn't particularly good with the bat, but still can field. So yeah, we were an absolute. We were dominant. There's no other way to put it. From a draft perspective, I don't really remember much about the draft. I don't think it was particularly good, if I remember correctly. Our first pick was Kevin Ward, a first baseman who can also pitch a little bit, reliever / first baseman. I have him listed as a two-way player. Chris Whitwer. It was a bad draft. We had already, by the second round, had already jumped into looking for pitchers with 3 pitches, hoping that they can develop. I don't expect much out of him, given that his control's a 2 and that changeup's a 1, which means it'll probably never develop. Our third pick was Jose Ruiz. Again, same deal. This is just a bad draft. It was a bad draft. It was a bust. There's nothing here. Bobby Bucky we drafted because of his defense. Rawson, a bit of a two-way player, not particularly good at anything, but that was the draft. So we're 10 years in with the Twins. We have 3 World Series titles. We have the top prospect in baseball in Tony Henriquez. We have the number 9 prospect in baseball in outfielder Bobby Morales. We have the number 23 prospect in baseball in left fielder David Leyva. And we also have this absolute stud of a second baseman named Bobby Esquivel. He will likely be our starting second baseman this season, as I believe Nico Horner opted out of the last year of his contract. Okay, so Corbin Burns executed his contract. That's fantastic. Nico Horner voided his contract. That's actually really good as well. We're going to let Nico walk. Although he had another really good season, 3 wins for us as a 35-year-old, but we have a player ready to go. So Horner's career with the Minnesota Twins was 8 seasons. Put up 31 wins, 1,300 hits. It was a very successful career for Nico Horner, but we wish him well going forward. So that is the Minnesota Twins, 3rd title in 10 seasons. Let's switch now to... What are we going to switch to now? Let's switch to Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball with the Minnesota Timberwolves. 61-21 were your Timberwolves this year, and we lost in the Western Conference Finals to Portland, I believe. Yeah, we lost to Portland in 5 games, which is a bit of a bummer. When you look at our team, you're going to question how that happened, as we are a stacked roster. So first thing we did this past offseason was we traded for Jameel Ashburn, who's a 27-year-old former number 2 overall pick, signed long-term for about $30 million a year. We traded Joel Grays, who we had signed the previous season, Jamal Strong, who was the backup point guard that we were looking to. We had all that depth in the backcourt. So we traded Grays and Strong to the Nuggets for Jameel Ashburn and a pair of first-round picks. And all he did was put up 20 points and 9 rebounds a game while putting up a 22.9 player efficiency, 24.3 PER. Hang on a second. Just turn the sound down on the computer behind me. So he became our starting center. Did we make any other? We didn't make any other trades. Yeah, we did. We made one trade during the season, and that was picking up Nicholas Claxton because of his defensive ability. But his contract is up. So those are the 2 trades we made. From a draft perspective, we traded. I mentioned that we had traded Jamal Strong to the Nuggets. I want to see how he did. Hang on just a second. I want to see how he did this year. My guess is he probably did really well. 12 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Yeah, he played pretty well, and he's cheap. So that worked out for them. But they're 27-55. So hopefully they can continue to stay bad, because that means we get a high draft pick. And in that draft, we picked up Dale Dyer. Again, we're just absolutely stacked at the guard position. Dale Dyer was drafted as a 2-star, 3.5-star player, and he has become a 3.5-star, 4.5-star. Had a really good rookie season, 9 points, 3.5 rebounds, 3 assists. It's got me thinking about the future of Ja Morant. I'm going to try to run it back with these 4 guards, because Trent Means didn't play a whole lot this past season. His contract is up. I got a ton of contracts up. I'll show you that in a second. But Brown's contract is up. Means' contract is up. Gordon's contract is up. I would like to bring them all back, because Morant's contract... it's $41 million this year, 43 next year, which is the final year of his contract. I may look to move him. For picks or young players. He had the worst season that he's had with us. I think it's the worst season of his career since 2020. Yeah, you look at his player efficiency, it dipped significantly. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that we just had so much more talent around him that he didn't have to take the load scoring as much as he had. But we may use him as an asset to try to continue our success. So if you look at stats, He did lead us in scoring again, 21 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 5 assists per game, 1.5 steals. Adam Gordon just continues to be consistent, 20 points, 9 rebounds. Ashburn, 20 points, 9 rebounds. Xavier Brown with a fantastic second season. Still can't shoot free throws, but 17 points, almost 9 assists, almost 6 rebounds a game. We re-signed Craig Norwood for a third time. Minneapolis loves them some Craig Norwood. He started most of the season, but by the end of the year, I had moved him to the bench, and I had moved DeAndre Hunter into the starting lineup, who was another free agent acquisition because of his defense. Matt McCleary, he's been fine. It hasn't been great. He's not shooting particularly well. His efficiency is meh. I don't know. I don't know if he's got it. We may look to move him in the offseason as well. Maybe we package Morant and McCleary for players and or picks. Trent Means I talked about, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 1.5 assists. I would like to see if we can sign him long term, because if I can run with Brown, Dyer, and Means, I think that'll be enough. It just means we're going to be so far over the cap this season if we're able to re-sign Gordon, Brown, and Mean. We're going to be so far over the cap, which means we're going to have to be successful, or the owner is going to hate us, and we will potentially get fired. So that's our offseason. Our offseason is going to be figure out what to do with Ja Morant and sign our existing free agents. I don't know how much time and space and energy we're going to spend on free agency, but we should have a high draft pick this year, I believe. We have Denver's pick this season, and then Denver's pick in 2034. So we will have a lottery pick this season again. And then next year, we have 2 first-round picks. We have Detroit's and Minnesota's. And again, Detroit isn't particularly good. So we're set up. We have 5 first-round picks over the next 3 years. 3 of them are from bad teams. So hopefully we can fill in the bench with some of those players that maybe don't cost so much. So that is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Again, 3 titles in 10 years for the Timberwolves. 3 titles in 10 years for the Twins. Let's go over to Pro Football, and let's take a look at the Minnesota Vikings. So this was a bit of a disappointing season in terms of the end result, but we were 13-4. We had the best record in the NFC, and then we lost in the NFC. Or we lost in the Did we lose in the NFC title game, or did we lose before that? Yeah, we lost in the Divisional series to Philadelphia, 31-24. So we let John Anderson go. If you look at the... Actually, I want to go here. That's not where I wanted to go either. Anyway, so we let our quarterback go. He signed with somebody else for $29 million or something like that. So we brought in Randall Oglesby, who was a 27-year-old who had been stuck on the bench for the last couple of years in Miami. You can see 2 years ago he got some playing time and was great in 4 games, 1 start, 10 touchdowns, no interceptions. So we signed him to a 3-year, $25 million contract, and all he did was throw for 3,800 yards, 28 touchdowns, and only 5 picks. He was everything we needed him to be. Our other quarterback was our first-round pick this year, and I'll show you the drafts here in a minute, but we picked up Ronald Larson with the last pick in the first round, 80 overall, and he came in and he got some playing time because Oglesby got hurt, and he wasn't terrible, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, but I think keeping Larson here behind Oglesby for the next couple of years is a good play. That'll let Larson develop while he's not making a lot of money, and he'll take over. He'll basically start for us at $2.6 million for the final 2 years of his contract, so that will work for us. Rushing, Patrick Clifford got the majority of the work this year, 1,200 yards, almost 300 carries, averaged 4 yards a carry. Christian Long we signed as a free agent at the beginning of the season. 9 touchdowns, 4.3 yard average, so he was really good. That's a really good 1-2 punch. Receiving, Justin Jefferson, man, just continues to get it done. He's now 32 years old. 1,200 receptions, almost 14,000 yards receiving, 81 touchdowns for Jefferson. Craig Davis was a free agent signing and was just unbelievable. 76 catches, 917 yards, and 11 touchdowns. And then Denver Betts just continues to get it done. The 3 seasons he's put together for us have been nothing short of spectacular. 101 catches, 74, 73, 1,000-yard seasons, and 40 touchdowns in 3 seasons for the 29-year-old Betts. David Gonzalez was another free agent tight end that we signed. Clifford did a pretty good job out of the backfield. Abel Kellum was a free agent signing, and he was okay as our number 3 wide receiver. I wanted to get a number 3 wide receiver in that I could trust, and he was okay. Defensively, Edward Bailey continues to lead us in tackles. He's a 90 overall. Rashaan Evans we signed as a free agent as well. 88 tackles and 7 sacks. Nahshon Wright we signed to a 1-year contract, and he had 4 picks. Joseph Cochran continues to get it done, now 27 years old. Lacey Bush continues to get it done, now 27 years old as well. Omar Sumner, now 30. The very first draft pick we made, I guess maybe the second draft pick we made, as owner and GM of the Vikings. He had 20 sacks on the season. He now has 140 in his illustrious Hall of Fame career. Yeah, so defensively we look pretty sharp. If we look at the draft, I mentioned we picked up a quarterback in the first round. Picked up Ronald Larson in the first round, 80 overall. Austin Moniz was a 6th round draft pick, 73 overall. Not a terrible 6th round pick, really. 73 overall running back. Hopefully he can develop. I believe Steve Rodriguez was our number 2 pick. Yeah, he wasn't particularly good. Did have a couple of sacks, and he's only 21, so there's some reason for optimism there. Stephen Crockett was our number 3 pick. Again, not particularly good, and he's a little bit older, so that's not a great pick. Right. Then we drafted a kicker and a punter. We drafted a William Mott in the 5th round, 78 overall. He'll probably start next season, depending on what Van wants. So yeah, it wasn't a great draft, but we got our quarterback of the future and our quarterback of the present. And that's huge, right? I mean, you can't win a football game without an elite quarterback. So we have a couple of very, very good ones. So good season, good regular season. Couldn't get it done in the postseason, though. So hopefully year 11 will be better for the Minnesota Vikings. Although, again, we do have a title with the Vikings, which is more than we can say. So plans, what do we want to do here this offseason? So we don't have a lot of decisions to make. Samuel Wallace is a free agent. That's something we need to consider. We have 3 defensive tackles that are free agents. So defensive tackle is going to be a necessity. Cornerback is probably going to be a necessity. So we may focus on the defense here coming up this off season. I need a backup running back, which you can get anywhere. But yeah, defensive tackle and cornerback is, I think, where we're going to be focusing this upcoming season for the Vikings. And last but not least, we will take a look at the Minnesota Wild, who once again come up short. I don't know. This is the one. This team is really confusing me because the talent is just crazy good, but we just can't get over the hump. And the big news out of Minnesota is this is going to be the end of the road for Kirill Kaprizov. You can see 35 years old, played only 54 games this year, was a -7, only had 11 games, only had 11 goals. So the great Minnesota Wild forward, 421 goals, 932 points in his illustrious career, will be left to free agency when the season is over. So 48, 24, and 10. We didn't get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs this time, which is nice. We got knocked out in the second round of the playoffs, this time by the Nashville Predators. We were the top seed again. We took out the Coyotes in 5 games and then lost to Nashville in 6. If we look at the standings, you can see we finished first overall in the West, or in the West, with 106 points. In the Central, I should say. Tied for the best record in the West with the Kraken, who actually won it all, 48, 24, and 10. We just, again, could not get it done in the postseason. If you look at our stats, I've never seen this before. We didn't have a single 30-goal scorer, but we had 9 players with 20 or more goals and like 17 with more than 10. So talk about a well-balanced attack. Just an absolutely well-balanced attack led by Capo Caco again, who we did re-sign. Unfortunately, we can't re-sign him to a cheap deal, so we had to sign him to a 3-year, $7.25 million contract. We picked up Anton Yefimовich in free agency this past season, 22-year-old. I love the 17 physical attribute. He was our second-line center. Ekberg still our top-line center. Cole McKinney was another one we signed out of Michigan State. I don't know if that's Michigan State or Michigan University, but either way, 24-year-old Cole McKinney we signed out of college, and he put up 63 points in 29 games. Our draft, oh boy, our draft. So we ended up with a lottery pick due to a trade we had made the previous season. And in that lottery, we ended up with the top overall pick in the draft. We got super... No, I think we ended up with... Did we end up with the number 2 pick or the number 1 pick? I don't remember. But nonetheless, let me show you what we got with our number 1 pick. Top player in the draft, Kyle Locke, goes to Michigan Tech. I tried to sign him right away. He wanted to play in college this season. 40 points in 43 games as a freshman. Look at him. As a 19-year-old. He is the heir apparent to Cale Makar. I'm going to pray that he wants to play pro hockey this year, and we will sign Kyle Locke. So we got absolutely lucky there with our top overall pick. Hermanni Toivonen, we signed him as a free agent, and he ended up taking the job away from Jesper Wallstedt, who we will try to move on from this season as he's got a nasty contract. Justin Gauthier we traded for, and we had some cap issues as we got, was it Justin Gauthier that we traded for? No, it was somebody else. It was another goalie. It was Clark Boswell. No, it wasn't Clark Boswell, was it? Yeah, it was. So we traded, we had to trade Simon Forsmark, who was we had traded for him from Pittsburgh, and again, he looks really good. But his contract was up at the end of the season. We weren't going to re-sign him with the depth that we had, and we picked up some goalie depth. I'm not really thrilled about it, but I mean, he looks okay. We now have a couple goalies in the pipeline here behind Wallstedt. So Toivonen maybe is our starting goalie next year, and then we figure out what to do with Wallstedt. I mean, we're still absolutely stacked defensively. Makar, Kiviharu, Vezina, Locke, Leslie, McKinnon, Nilsson are our top 7. So one of these 6 guys aren't going to be able to start next season. And I don't know how I'm going to decide. And then we have Caden Price as our number 7 defenseman. So we're absolutely stacked on the blue line. Offensively, I think we need a little bit of help, especially with Kaprizov going. But Yeko is 26 now. Quentin Musty's 26. Tanner Howe's 26. So a lot of these players are getting into their mid-20s when they are going to sort of, their development's going to peak and it'll start to go the other direction. So we do need to pay a little bit of attention to our forward situation and maybe use some of this depth to try to pick up some forward help. I think we're really solid down the middle with Ekberg, Yefimовich, Olsen, and Perron. I think we're really set down the middle. The wings are okay. Capo, Caco, and Cole McKinney as our top 2 scoring wings. Brendan Gingera, we signed. He was our top pick 2 years ago. He's already got a 17 offense at age 20. So he's not going to be a very physical forward, but he's somebody who could potentially light the lamp, and we may want to move him up to one of the top lines. I think defensively we're pretty good on the right wing with Florentine Lang and Kuznetsov, who's a really solid two-way type guy. So I think we're okay on the right. On the left, we're a little light. Left wing isn't great. Kaprizov is going to be gone. So we are going to need a forward. in free agency this year. I don't know how much money we're going to have. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with how much we, if we're able to move Jesper Wallstedt for anything. So we'll see what happens there. So that is the Minnesota Twins. So we are 10 years into an 18-year playthrough. We have 7 titles in 10 seasons. We need 5 more championships in the next 8 seasons to accomplish our goal. I think we're set up really with all 4 teams for sustained success. The NFL is the hardest, I think, to maintain that because of just the way the contracts work. You can cut people with no penalties, and I think it's just harder to maintain a dynasty. But I think we're in good shape for the Twins. I think we're in really good shape still with the T-Wolves with our draft pick situation, and I think we have enough young depth with the Minnesota Wild that we can get it done. We have the best defensive core in the NHL. We just need to maybe find a high-scoring left wing, and maybe that's Gingera. I don't know. Maybe we stick Gingera on that top line with Ekberg and Kakko next year. Maybe put Kakko on the left and then have Gingera out there with Ekberg because he's good offensively, he's good defensively. He's just not very physical. I don't need him to be super physical. We have that from Kakko, who's a 17, and Ekberg, who's a 15. So maybe that's the play next year. But yeah, so we're done with 10 years. We finished 10 years. We have 7 titles. We need 5 more to tie, 6 more to exceed what the city of Boston did over their 18-year run. So we will see if we can do it. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Right at that 30-minute mark, which is perfect. Let me know what you think. Are you enjoying this? Do you think we're going to reach our goal of 13 titles in 18 seasons? Let me know. And I'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.